Hey, what's up, everybody? Wanted to come on here and do a short little video. I'm gonna get straight to the point on it. Try to keep this video as short as possible for y'all. Customer brought me a Lexus SC 400, early 90s, like 93, I think it is. The two-door coupes. He's making it like a drift car. It's got the Lexus Toyota V8 in it, and doing headers and a bunch of stuff to it. But it also needs brakes. So we're working on the brakes tonight, and we're replacing the master cylinder. And I thought this would be a good time to make a little video on the importance of bench bleeding the master cylinder before you install it. One of the guys I had here with me yesterday helping me out was like, "Oh, let me help you put this on," and he was starting to bolt it up without bench bleeding it. And I gave him a little lesson on why we don't ever want to do that. It's number one, it's a lot harder to bleed all the air out of the system if you don't bench bleed these. So as you can see, I have them on the bench. I have this master cylinder on the bench here, and it's clamped down on my table vise. Let you get a good look at it there. See, so you see how I got the two hoses with these plastic adapters going into where the brake lines would thread into, and then there's just some clear hose, and you want it to be clear because you want to see any air bubbles in the hoses as you pump on it. And I have it zip tied down so that it stays tucked in, and I also have the hoses zip tied together, and then I have the hoses zip tied down. I simply ran the zip tie underneath and holding the hoses up top. So if you look here, there you go. You can see the shaft inside that I'm going to be pushing, and I'm going to use a regular, this is like a Torx bit adapter flathead. Like a flathead screwdriver, but it's meant to put the Torx bit adapters in it. And it doesn't have a pointy edge, so this is what I'll be using. I'm gonna switch back to this hand. Okay, so you see I'm pretty much just putting this into the hole here. I'm having trouble seeing if y'all can see that, but yeah, that's going into that hole. And then what I'm gonna do, let's see how I can rotate this. There we go, to where y'all can see. So what I'm gonna do is push in, and as I push in, you can see that you don't see any air bubbles anymore. You can see the fluid going through the lines back up into the top of the master cylinder reservoir. And you just pump it until you see exactly what you're seeing now, no bubbles at all. And that means that all the air is out of here. And then I keep it like that. I don't disconnect this because obviously I'm going to leak all my fluid out. So I would take it off of my table vise here, off of my clamp, and take the little lid with you. Don't forget it. Throw it in your pocket and head over to the vehicle. And then what you're gonna do once it's bolted onto the vehicle, once all three bolts are bolted onto the back of the booster, right? Make sure your pin lines up properly with the hole and bolt it up to the back of the booster. And then once this is bolted up and secured, then I will go ahead and remove one, and then I will install that brake line as quickly as possible. And as soon as I remove this plastic threaded adapter, I will remove it from here, and I will immediately put it into the top of the reservoir so that it doesn't just spill out. Brake fluid is bad for the paint of the car, even the engine bay paint. You don't want brake fluid on any paint, so you don't want it dripping down in his engine. So I quickly put it right back up top, and I normally have a rag set up underneath for extra precaution. And then that first brake line, I get it started to where it's not leaking, and then I remove the second one and do the same thing, put it back up top, thread that one in, and so now it's detached. I'm doing that fairly quickly, removing this quickly, putting the threaded line on that one quickly, removing this quickly, the threaded line on that one. And then I'm gonna snip this with pliers and remove the whole little hose system, put my cap up top of it, top it off, put my cap on, and at that point then I would go move on to bleeding the brake system, the calipers on the vehicle, bleeding it at the wheels, and then topping it off again as needed. And that would obviously, don't forget your plug, the plug to let you know when you're low on fluid, and then that would complete your install. I would highly recommend that you keep these adapters and these hoses. The customer didn't bring me these adapters and these hoses. He bought the master cylinder and brought it to me without the box. It didn't come in the box. Sometimes customers do stuff like this. And he brought it to me without the box. And thank God I went through my drawer and I found some adapters. And then because you can't get these unless you buy a master cylinder. When you buy a master cylinder, they should come with them. Usually they do, not always. If they don't, you're stuck like Chuck. And then the hose, my hose was just not good. It was in bad shape. It was rough. So I did have some old clear hose, but it wasn't good, and I threw it away. And I went ahead and got new hose for it, and they do sell just the clear hose in a little container like this. It was like $3-4. I don't know if you can see that there. That's the part number from O'Reilly's. So that's all it really is. You can probably see the part number better back here now that I'm noticing it's on the back. So that's all it is. A little bit of clear hose. This was like $3-4. I just cut it in half evenly and insert them onto the nipples, and now I'll save these, and hopefully they'll last a while. These look to be a little stronger. The ones that I had before were cheaper. They were the ones that came with the last master cylinder I installed, and they're a little cheaper quality. These do feel like a little better. They feel like they're a little better quality hose. Like it's gonna hold up longer. And then the other reason why I'm making this video is to cover my butt, because I don't want this customer coming back and saying, "Oh, you didn't properly install my master cylinder. It's your fault. My brakes don't work." So this video is also to educate you on how to do it properly, but also to watch my butt, so that if the customer ever did come back and try to say something, I say, "No, I made a video where I bench bleeded your master cylinder before I installed it and bleeded your car. And as you can see in the video, there's no bubbles. No more bubbles. No more bubbles. Yay." Okay, I'm gonna stop being silly. So yeah, definitely make sure that you bench bleed before you install. Real important. It makes the bleeding process, once it's installed on the car, that much easier, because otherwise you're introducing the air that's already in here from manufacturer, storing, shipping, all that. It's being handled by so many different people and shipped from here to there. And I know that it comes with little plug seals, but at some point somebody's removed this cap, air's been introduced to it. You want to get all the air out. You have a primary seal and a secondary seal inside of here, and you want to lubricate it with hand pressure, nice and gentle with fluid, so you don't damage that primary and secondary seal inside of here, and you properly coat it in a more gentle way. than to just install it dry on a car and say, screw it, I'll bleed it and I'll get all the air out. I'm not table bleeding it. You can go that route, but at the same time, when you're applying that pedal pressure to pump the pedal with your foot has a lot more strength. You're going to be a lot more aggressive in your pumps into the shaft, and there's a possibility that you could damage that seal because it's going to be dry. There's going to be no fluid having been introduced to it yet. So it's another thing. It kind of pre-coats, pre-lubes the inside of the master cylinder too, in a much more gentle, slower pump action from your hand. And then you're getting all that air out. You're not introducing any air from this new master cylinder unit into the brake lines on the vehicle. This is a Lexus. It has an ABS pump. They're fidgety. Everybody knows about Lexus and their ABS pumps. They suck. So you want to be very careful with Lexus, particularly to make sure that you're not introducing any additional air by not table bleeding the master cylinder. Other American cars, a little more forgiving, especially the older ones. On these newer ones, ABS modules pick up everything. Very sensitive, finicky stuff. You want to make sure you table bleed. All right, so I told y'all I didn't want to make this video too long. I'm going to check out of here. Just for those of you that don't know how to properly table bench bleed your brand new master cylinder before you install, very simple. Don't use something with a sharp tip like a Phillips. Use something with a flat tip that'll fit in the shaft. Give it some good slow pump action, and save your adapter and your hoses for the next time around. You never know when it's time to do another one. And make sure, like I said, I like to zip tie it down just so this isn't falling out of here and it stays in, and you can just focus on getting some good pump action. Properly install it first, bolt it up, remove each of the adapters, quickly install the lines, so on and so on. Quick recap. It's not that hard to do, but is very important to do. Thank you all for watching. Any questions, hit me up below, and I'll do my best to get back to y'all. It's late at night. I am cold. I am tired, but I'm going to go put this on and call it a night. God bless y'all. Take care.